would you recalibrate and perhaps even rebrand then the promise of bottom-up to something else? Because it hasn't been, to many, a bottom-up promise kept.
No, I wouldn't, because, for example, there are very many young people who, the president made it very clear, for you to be a revenue service assistant at KRA, the minimum qualification was D+. 1,400 Kenyans from various backgrounds, I was in their pass out in Eldoret, got an opportunity to be employed by KRA. Now, that's a real bottom-up. Many Kenyans who are now going to be employed as servicemen in the military are ordinary Kenyans. Bottom-up, what is about bottom-up? For example, those people who are being Shylocked now can get affordable credit through Hustler Fund. Those farmers who could not afford fertilizer for 7,000 now can access. That young man or woman who was qualified to go to junior secondary schools, and now that opportunity is being availed by ensuring that there are classrooms that have been built so that they can go to high school. That university student who could not access help that has now been doubled from 15 billion to 30 billion. For me, when I look at the county integrated industrial parks and the potential they have of creating jobs, when I look at the value proposition versus the value addition, when I look at the reform that Deputy President Ndii Gachagua is leading or championing in terms of coffee and tea, for me, when you look at the 500 milk coolers that have been purchased so that then you democratize the milk industry, when you look at the 100 dryers that are also being distributed to ensure that you actually do away with the produce, getting lost in the process. When you look at the revitalization of the KCC, for example, I mean, if you look at even, the way we are looking at the climate change and having electric motorbikes and what have you, something is being done. When you look at a company like Moderna coming to invest $500 million to produce their medicine here, when you look at the idea of having, the leather industry take off because we import 25 million shoes, yet we can produce them locally because we were the third largest country with the number of herds, cattle, here. So those are the kind of things that, for me, I would want to ask Kenyans, yes, indeed, there may be a disappointment here and there, but let us not lose sight of the bigger picture. I believe we can do it.
It remains bottom-up. Yeah. Kiama, in your honest assessment on the bottom-up promise and where we are?
I think what sums up bottom-up for me was a question someone asked yesterday. When President Ruto was in Silicon Valley, he made a promise to the tech billionaires there, and he made some concessions. And someone asks, those guys are getting waivers, but the ordinary person here is not getting waivers. Dr. Mwaura talks about electric bikes. That bike can only do 1 hour. Then it takes 2 hours to charge 2 batteries. I mean, let's be realistic. What are you talking about? Talks about, let's talk about farmers, maize coolers. So there's a lot of motion, but very little movement. Because we talk about fighting cartels in the coffee sector. The price of coffee, last year my dad sold a kg of coffee at 120. Now it's 60 bob. That's 60 bob out of, with the economy as it is right now. What is that? That's the real bottom up. Like, my dad voted for Ruto. Right now you can't, when he's having that conversation asking me for 1,000 shillings, I know it's pinching.
Yeah. Hope you don't rub it in his face that he voted.
So I can't. He's my dad. so I can't do that.
Yeah. So,
but
that's unfortunate.
For me, that's what bottom up
It reflects what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
But let me ask something that you didn't quite answer. And this is someone who is in government, the economic advisor, David Ndii. You've mentioned the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. Do you believe David Ndii with what he had to say? And I could quote some of the tweets. I don't believe politicians. I don't trust government. If you do, either you are a sucker. Finally, I've been advised that I owe the public empathy. I don't agree. I do not subscribe to sentimentality in the conduct of public affairs. I owe my position in this society to speaking truth to power brutally. I ruffle feathers. Do you believe David Ndii owes an apology?
I think that is his personal opinion.
Not as the economic advisor.
That is his personal opinion. That is not the stand of the Kenya Kwanza administration. We ourselves believe that there is a better way to communicate to the public, even when you disagree, even when there is truth to be told. And I don't think that really borders on arrogance. And I fully associate myself with the sentiments of the Deputy President regarding Gachagua. And that's a difference, by the way, between politicians and technocrats. Yeah, because you see, it's not because we cannot see the reality, but we are peddlers of hope, remember. We must sell hope even when there is evidence to the contrary. Why? Because if you don't, what are you leaving the people to? So yes, David Ndii has his right. Personally, I have agreed with him. I have disagreed with him before. And I don't want to be seen to be attacking him directly. I think that's not fair. Yeah. But I do not quite agree with his sentiments. Sometimes, even if that is the truth, there are things you speak in the boardroom. Because when you speak things internally, even here at Sema Box, there's what you say so that you develop your strategy. Yeah. I think there's no doctor who goes to tell you that now you are just about to die. You go and announce in the wards, "Oh, you, thou people, thou sleepeth here. You know, you are going to die tomorrow." You have to keep on trying. Even that's why we resuscitate patients. Yeah. You know, and I've been in that situation myself with my own children. Right. So you have to continuously keep on trying. If you read a book by, I think, Dr. Jonathan Spencer, called "Who Moved My Cheese?" That's the whole idea about governing a country. There are those who are waiting for things to happen because they feel they are entitled to it. And unfortunately, majority of us sometimes tend to be in that situation. But there are those who say, okay, today I'm not gotten, let's keep on chasing the maze. And eventually they get into a solution. By the way, Mark Masai, there are two groups of people. Each group is told to make pots. Yeah? So one of them decides to sit down and strategize and to get all the ideas in the world. And eventually they make a very good pot. The best that can sell for hundreds of dollars. Then there's another one that just starts making these pots. And some of them, they don't look very good, they are not very shapely and whatever. But eventually they keep on learning from their mistakes and they keep on improving. Eventually when the time is up, then the two groups are going to be assessed. So the question would be, which is a better group? Personally, I would choose the one that started with the mistakes, but kept on trying. And that is what I would ask of the Kenya Kwanza administration and Kenyans. That yes, it's a matter of trying. We have the vision, we have the intentions. But as a student of public policy, I'll tell you, good intentions are never enough. There's much more to it. The Kenya Kwanza administration is a peace and revolution. Let me tell you, it's a peace and revolution. There are not very many experienced politicians in government, as would have been compared to Azimio. Would you say that about the cabinet that you have? It's not experienced? No, generally. If you look at the age of the people is younger. Right. Our president came to power at 55 years old. Yeah. So majority of the people, apart from my boss, Musalia Mudavadi, majority of the rest are actually below him. You get her? In terms of the executive, you know, of course, Moses Wetangula is just turned 65 the other day. But majority of the people who are now holding key positions are much younger. And that means then there's an element of experience that comes with it. But then the opportunity, that they lack. That needs to be learned. I don't want to say they lack. But then there's also the opportunity to innovate. You see, there's the opportunity to try new things. You know, so I think just like this is not a conventional way of doing news, but here we are. Yes. So please give us that opportunity. It may not move as fast as we would have wanted as well. Yes. But we want to imagine that with your goodwill and some little bit of patience, things are going to stabilize. And I think it's better that we deal with the issue now than wait when it's the fourth or fifth year. I am very optimistic that by the time we hit the third year, things will be much, much better because we were living a lie. We inherited an economy that had unbudgeted projects worth hundreds of billions of shillings. Okay. Now, we can't keep on using the rear mirror, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we are not coming out of the pit. Okay.